Sisters, sisters and brothers, greeting on this, the 28th Sunday of Ordinary Time. I'll be quoting an Old Testament theologian, very, very wonderful Jewish scholar, and especially his work on the Old Testament prophets. And he gives us pointers as to how to have a very, very deep and firm relationship with God. So I begin with his account. And his name is Rabbi Abraham Heschel, the author of several books on the Old Testament prophets. Uh, we remember our Old Testament professor in seminary who told us that Heschel says that there are three things that are necessary for us to connect with God. The first one is God's willingness to love us. The second is the capacity of the human person to receive that love. And the third, a moment in which those two realities can meet. Heschel insists that there is not a time in our lives when one of those three things are missing. God is always loving us. We're always capable of receiving God's love. And there is always a moment in which we and God can connect. You and I both know that obstacles that stand in the way inhibit us to have that firm foundation with our relationship with God. And so we have to be aware of that. And that's why I think a good time for meditation and for contemplation helps us, separate the weeds from the wheat, and to really understand that God is always there, always there. And maybe like me, something really had to set me down to realize that. Of course, at the same time, in our quest for it, there's always difficulties, challenging times, and God seems to be quite elusive. And I believe that's what today's gospel is all about. Again, three things are still necessary. Okay. Jesus is willing to offer love to the person in the gospel. He loves that person. He offers him discipleship. And the person is open because God's law is written on his heart. The moment is there. And they meet. And now nothing happens. He goes away crestfallen. Again, how could this be possible? Well, the simple answer is something got in the way. Okay. Something else becomes the obstacle. And whatever it is that got in the way, the person was distracted from what Jesus was offering, that which the person deeply desired. And such a tragedy in which we can relate because it happens to us. And we have to invest in the time to separate all of that and see what has happened, to retrace our steps, and to find God where he's always been. He has always been there. Yeah. Yeah. I believe that the test of a living spirituality is when we interact with our contemporary world, whether it be the chaos and contentiousness of those feudal days that St. Francis had to witness in the 13th century town of Assisi, or whether it be the chaos and the divisiveness and the incivility of our own present day state of affairs, as our country especially is in the throes of preparing to vote for who's going to be the next president of the Republic. So let us bring our Franciscan spirituality, to the fore. because I believe it can awaken a vision of hope for us amid all these challenges that we face. Our daily reflection, our times when we gather in fraternity for those formation sessions, these ought to assist us. And we're always invited to begin anew, to begin again. Until now, we've done nothing. If we are to respond adequately to this rapidly changing environment. So let us endeavor to continue our prayer to the Holy Spirit for that gift of wisdom, that we to integrate our ways with God's ways as God relates to the world. Not judgmental, but with compassion, not to condemn, but to redeem. Because God expects us to build a better world. Our rule reminds us of such, a more fraternal and gospel-oriented world. And so we give of ourselves. We give of our time and our effort. We become involved. We might even become involved politically to work against injustice and inequality. So let us take up the causes that can evoke change and reform. I remember visiting the children preparing for First Holy Communion. This was several decades ago. It was an art class for the children, and they were busy drawing. So looking over my shoulder, I saw one little girl very hard at her work. And so I asked what she was drawing, and she says, "I'm drawing a picture of God." I said, "Well, how nice can that be?" I said, "Yeah, that'll be interesting because uh, uh, nobody has ever seen what God looks like or even knows what God looks like." And without missing a beat, she turned back to me and replied, "They will when I'm finished." Out of the mouth of babes. Oh my goodness, how wonderful. They will when I'm through. Oh my goodness. Would that we would have such lively faith, especially giving birth in our fraternities, a theology that can enrich understanding. And understanding can reveal experiences of the holy. So let us refer to St. Francis for our need to treasure the faith that has nurtured us, recognizing the insights that inspire us, to bring them forth for a better understanding and for a more firm tomorrow. And let us go to St. Clare as we are invited to forge new paths of spirituality, to look beyond that which is right before us, that affects us, especially the role of women in our society and in our church. And of course, coming now away from our reflection on this stigmata, especially the theology that St. Bonaventure relates, that would infuse the human and the divine love by the inspiration of the Holy Spirit, that it would lead us into the challenges of the apostolate and of our time for contemplation. As the Christ of the cross of San Damiano informed Francis that our world and our lives need to be reformed. We are in need of repair, and our fraternities need to be refreshed and inspiring so that this vision can move us from apathy to empathy, to move us to work for transformation, for the healing of relationships, especially within our church, our society, our nation, and the environment. I'm coming to you on this Friday before the weekend, and today is the memorial to Pope St. John the 23rd. secular Franciscan, as we know, but to dive in a little bit more into those encyclicals that he has given us, not only to open up the windows and let in fresh air, okay, for the church to breathe in God's holy and life-giving spirit as he opens the Second Vatican Council, uh, to read those encyclicals of his, Mater et Magistra, Mother and Teacher, Pacem in Terris, Peace on Earth. Very worthwhile, especially in the times that we face. Yeah. And so we end our time at this moment. May the Lord bless you and keep you. May he turn his face to you and have mercy upon you. May he turn his countenance to you and give you his peace. And may the Lord bless you, the Father, and the Son, and the Holy Spirit. Only one of our number now has responded to the question that was asked. Who are those friars that are holding palm branches? And of course, these were the five Franciscan martyrs. And I got the reply. One member of the seculars had written back, and I believe she named them correctly: Bernard, Otto, Peter, Casurius, and Judas. I think all five of them she mentioned, and she's correct. And I hope you did that research as well to know who our brothers and sisters are. Yeah, not only knowing their names, but what they stood for and the witness that they had given to the gospel. And so, peace and good things.